The following is a production of the Dallas Genealogical Society. For more information, please visit our website at dallasgenealogy.org.
All right, so we're ready for Günter, and I'm going to go ahead and close this and stop sharing. And he's the president of Familia, Austria, and he's going to talk about the history of the Habsburg Empire. And I don't do good with German talking. I'm going to stop sharing and let him go ahead and share.
Okay, thank you very much for the chance to bring you some facts about the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to interrupt me. It will be no problem. You can interrupt me at every point, at each point, and I will try to answer your questions. But please speak slowly so I can understand you. The Habsburg Empire was not a certain state, but a lot of territories and kingdoms which were ruled by the Habsburgian emperors, Habsburgian Kaisers in Vienna or in Prague. Here is a map, historic map of the Habsburgian countries. Part of the Habsburgian countries as the Erzherzogtum Österreich, Unter- und Ober-Enns, Styria, Carinthia, Tyrol, and later Salzburg, the Carniola, Krain, Vorderösterreich, Austria Anterior, and the Austrian Netherlands belong to the Holy Roman Empire. Also the Bohemian countries, Bohemia, Moravia, Silesia. Whole Silesia belongs to Austria till 1742, when the Prussian King Frederick II conquered it. This was the western part of the Habsburgian countries. The other parts were the Hungarian countries. Here, these countries, because this wasn't one, there were many. There belongs Transylvania, Siebenbürgen to it, the Banat, the Kingdom of Croatia. Then there were former Poland countries as Galicia. It belongs from 1772 to the Habsburgians, the first Polish division. The Bukowina, Buchenland, belongs from 1776 or 7 to the Habsburgian countries. Till this, it was a part of Moldavia, which is one of the parts of Romania today. There were several Italian countries, as the Kingdom of Milano, which belongs to the Habsburgians till the Middle Age. First to the Spanish Habsburgians in Madrid, and from 1714, after the Spanish war, the war about about Spain and the territories, to the Viennese Habsburgians, but also some other territories in the middle, and also in the south of Italy belonged to the Habsburgian countries for some times. You see, it is very complicated, so it is very important in which time you are researching, because of the different situations there. Even in the old Habsburgian countries as Austria, Österreich, and Moravia, for example, it was a great difference if you are searching in Retz, which is an old town in the north of Austria, and Znaim, which is about 10 kilometers distance from Retz, but it was in Moravia. Because here in Austria there were the Austrian laws, and in Moravia there were the Moravian laws. Each territory, I suppose every territory, has a own parliament, Landtag genannt, and they were quite different. So they also had very different laws and rules. The only common was that the emperor in Vienna or in Prague was the king or duke or something else of this territory at the same time. In 1804, in the Napoleon times, first there was a Kaisertum Österreich, founded by Emperor Franz II. This was the first time that there were all the Habsburgian countries in one country and with one law, with one rules. Of course, the Landtage in the single territories also were there. So it was as today in Austria, that some things are duty of the country, and something is duty of the sub-country, the territory. It is called federalismus. In the Habsburgian territories, the Bohemian countries, the today Austrian countries, the Habsburgian Netherlands, Vorderösterreich, there were also the rules of the Holy Roman Empire, because the emperors in Vienna also were emperors of the Holy Roman Empire. There were some law books for the whole empire. In the Hungarian territories, they were quite different. Only the rules which were from the Ungarischen Landtag in Pressburg, nowadays Bratislava, and in Galicia there were the Polish rules, in the Bukovina the Moldovan, and in the south partly the Venetian rules. All the territory of Venetia, the Republic of Venetia, which was ended by Napoleon, came to the Habsburgians. It was Venetia, part of the Lombardy, part of Istria, and Dalmatia. And here were the rules of the old Republic of Venetia. So you see, it wasn't, it was a very colorful territory, and it's very important where and when do you research there. You can see here, here you see how large this country was in the last 50 years, the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy. This is Europe, and this is the landscape of this country. From 1867, these were two countries, the Austrian countries in the east, in the west, and the Hungarian countries in the east. There only was the emperor in Vienna, also the king of Hungary. But the rules were completely different. The laws were completely different. The languages were completely different, and so on. Good. If you are searching in nowadays Germany, also some territories were Habsburgian. Here is the country of Baden-Württemberg, the southwest state in Germany. And here you can see the yellow territories were Habsburgian till 1805. Then Napoleon destroyed this and gave these territories to Baden and Württemberg. Here is a larger map of the former Vorderösterreich. Here you can see the Breisgau, and here you can see the Austrian divisions of these countries. This wasn't a how to say, geschlossenes Gebiet, but very large isles. This territory here, the Fricktal, today belongs to Switzerland. So and this is Vorarlberg, which already belongs to Austria. If you go through the centuries, you have to look after the single territory which belongs to which duke or king or bishop. Here is a map of Carinthia, the Austrian country of Carinthia, and you see here different colors. The red colors, these territories belonged to the Habsburgians till the Dukes of Görz died, till the year 1500. But there were large isles of the green were Salzburgian territories. They were ruled by the Archbishop of Salzburg, at this time not a part of Austria, and the yellow territories were ruled by the Bishop of Bamberg, which had here large territories. So if you are searching perhaps here in the north of Carinthia, in Strasbourg or in Friesach, at this time, till the 18th century, the documents will be found in Salzburg, not in Carinthia. The capital of Carinthia is Klagenfurt, but Klagenfurt was a different administration and had no power here in the other territories. And in the yellow territories, you have to search in the archive of Bamberg, because the Bambergian bishop was the duke of these countries. So it's very important in which town, which village you are researching. So if you are searching for materials about the history. Here's a map when Empress Maria Theresia bought the Bambergian countries from the bishop. There only were the Salzburgian territories here. They were till the end of the geistlichen territories, 1803. Then also these territories came to the Habsburgians. Here you see a map of Europe. The yellow territories are the Habsburgian countries at the time of 1789, when the French Revolution was started. Here you can see the Lombardo-Venetian kingdom in the south. Here's Venezia, here's the Lombardie, here is the south of Tyrol. This was a very important kingdom which belonged to the Habsburgians till the Italian Wars, 1859 and 1866. In the southeast, it was very complicated because the borders between the Habsburgian territories and the Ottomanic Empire, the Osmanischen Reich, were not certain. So these borders here, this is the border of 1699. This is the border here, the green territories is the border of 1780, 18, and so on. So it is very complicated. And here, these countries wanted the Austrians to be the Austrian Republic after the end of the First World War, but many of these territories, as the Sudetenland, as South Tyrol and parts of the southern Steiermark, Styria, were given from the winners of the First World War to other countries. But all these territories were inhabited by German-speaking Austrians. Here you can see in black the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy as existing till 1918, and this is the Republic of Austria today, and this is the Republic of Hungary today. You see, most of the territories got lost and today belong to other countries. Okay, this was the geographical situation. The situation of the languages was not as easy like the historical situation. I hope you can see the ethnographic map of Austria from the year 1855. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Sehr gut. Here, the Lombardo-Venetian kingdom already belonged to Austria, but Bosnia and Herzegovina wasn't there already. In this territory, in the late monarchy, there were 11 main languages and many others which were used. These colors give the common language in the daily life. Red is German, also in the south of Moravia, in the south of Bohemia, in the west of Bohemia, in the north, even in the east, and in Austria-Silesia and northern Moravia, and also some islands, some important language islands as Iglau, the Schönhengst, Brünn, and Olmütz were there. Also in the Hungarian part of the empire, there were large German-speaking isles, Here the Sauerland, here at the border, Western Hungary, which part of them is today the Burgenland, country of Austria, but not all. And here in the middle of Hungary, there were many large German-speaking areas because of the resettlement after the Osmanian wars. You can see here is the called Schwäbische Türkei around Fünfkirchen page. Here is Banat. Here's the capital Temeswar, which also was a mainly German-speaking town. And of course, there are the old German-speaking areas in Siebenbürgen, Transylvania. Here's the Königsboden, here's the Burzenland, and here's the Nösnerland in the north. Also in Galicia, there were several German-speaking villages which were founded after the Habsburgians got this country in 1707 to 72. And in the Bukovina, German was one of the 3 official languages because more than 20% of the population used German. So we go there in the Alps, several little towns as the 7 communities, there's 13 communities, Luzern, Fersental and so weiter. And in the southern Rhine, there was the large language island of the Goce. So you can see in nearly every territory there were language islands of the German language. This white territory here is the Hungarian language. Of course, in the Hungarian kingdom, in the middle of this kingdom, and also in Siebenbürgen, Transylvania, here the Säcklerlands. They also live here to nowadays. The third large group was the Czechic. They lived in the center of Bohemia, you can see here, and in the center of Moravia and parts of Austrian Silesia. Why are there Czech and German here? The Middle Age kings of Bohemia, which also ruled in Moravia and Silesia, called German settlers to come and to settle in the surrounding mountains, because Bohemia is in the middle, very well and good agrar territory, but there are at every border raw mountains. Here the Erzgebirge, here the Riesengebirge, here the Böhmerwald, and here the Böhmisch-Mährische Höhe. And there in the Middle Age lived nearly nobody. And so the Czech kings called German settlers to come there, and the Charles and Charles lived there for nearly 800 years.
Günter, we have a question.
Please, yes.
Specifically for Bohemia, did most people living there speak both German and Czech, or just primarily German or Czech?
It belongs to the time. Mainly they speak German or Czech, but with the development of the education, German was the most important language for education. Most of the Czech also speak a little German. And those who have gone to a gymnasium or to a university, they all also speak German. So the Germans in the Bohemian countries mainly don't speak Czech, but the Czech mainly also understand or speak German in the monarchy.
Danke.
Gerne. So we will continue. Mhm. Mhm. So can you see the map again?
Wir sehen.
Good. In the north of Hungary, there live the Slovaks, which speak a very similar language to Czechic. Here. In Galicia, the west was inhabited by Poles, and the east by Ruthenians. It is an old name for Ukrainians. Many of this, especially in the Carpaths, were not Ukrainians or Ruthenians. They were tribes, as the Lemken and Boyan and Hutzuln, with a very closed society. In the east of Hungary, mainly in Siebenbürgen, Transylvania, here the orange territories, many of the people speak Romanian. Also in the east of the Banat and in the so-called Partium. It is a part of Hungary which belonged to the Dukes of Siebenbürgen in the time of the Osmanic invasion. And in the south, there were the Italians in Italia, of course, also in the south of Tyrol, the former territory of Trient. The Bishop of Trient was the head of them. Then there were little Romanian communities as the Ladina in South Tyrol, and here the Friulian in nowadays Friaul, Julisch Venezia in Italy. They have autonomy in Italy today, the Ladinas also. Then in the south of the Styria, in the south of Carinthia, in the Crine, and in the Herzogtum Görz und Gradiska, there live mainly Slovenes. Here, this territory, and south of them, the green, are Croats and Serbs. They are here not different from each other because it's a language map and not an ethnical map. And the languages of Croats and Serbs are very near. But the Croats are Roman Catholics and write in the Latin writings, and the Serbs are Greek Orthodox and use the Cyrillic letters. So there is a cultural difference, but not a language difference. And also today, a Serb and a Croat can talk with each other without problems. These were the 11 main language in the old monarchy in the last time of the monarchy. In former times, there also were French, Wallonic speaking territories in the Habsburg Netherlands, and also Flaming territories there. There were other territories in the south of Italy with Sicilian language and Sardinian language. So this is only the situation in the last centuries of the monarchy. These languages here are as the people spoke there, but that was not the official language. The official languages and the languages for education were quite different. In the Austrian part of the monarchy, most of the territories had 2 or even 3 official languages. So in Bohemia, always German and Czech were official languages. All the centuries when they belonged to Austria. So it was in Moravia, Mähren, and in Austrian Silesia, Österreichisch Schlesien, there were 3 official languages: German, Czech, and Polish. So each law and each official proclamation was made in all these official languages. In Galicia from 1869, only Polish was the official language. You see, quite the half of the country was inhabited by the Ruthenes, Ukrainians, but they had no official status, and about 10% German-speaking minority also had no official status. In Niederösterreich, Oberösterreich, also Lower Austria, Upper Austria, Salzburg, in Vorarlberg, there was only German, the official language. In the Styria, there was German and Slovenian, as it was in Carinthia. In the Krain, it was Slovenian and German, but the German was so a few group, a little group, so the official status of German was given away. In the district of Görz and Gradiska, there was Slovenian and Italian, the official language, not Friulanian. Italian is a history problem. And in the Markgrafschaft Istrien, there were 3 official languages: the Italian at the western coast, the large cities as Pula, Roigny, Parenzo, Pirano, Copa, Capodistria. Then in the center, there were mostly Croats, and in the north, Slovenes. Today, there's the border between Croatia and Slovenia. The Italians have been driven away after the Second World War. And in Hungary, in Tyrol, German and Italian were official languages. In Hungary, outside the Croatian kingdom, which also belongs to Hungary, there was only Hungarian, the official language. Even there were millions of Romanians, of Slovaks, of Germans, of Serbs. Only Hungarian was the official language, because the late Hungarian governments were very nationalistic, and there were very bad times for the minorities. In the Croatian kingdom, which belonged to Hungary, but it was had an autonomy, there was Croatian, the official language. So you can see the official language in many territories were different from the spoken languages, with all the problems which resulted from this. And the education languages was another thing. Of course, German and Italian were the important languages for education. There were existing old universities and old gymnasiums, so this was no problem to build the Yacht. But also the Hungarians and the Poles and the Czechs got gymnasiums and universities in their language. Even the old university in Prague, the Karlsruhe Universität, was divided in a German and a Czech university. And there was a German and a Czech technical university there. In Brünn, also there was a German and a Czech technical university. So most of these language groups had the possibility to do the education in their language. In the Hungarian part, it was quite complicated. It was a problem. Only in Croatia, there was a Croatian-speaking university in Zagreb. In the rest of Hungary, there only were Hungarian universities and mostly Hungarian-speaking gymnasiums. Only the Siebenbürger Sachsen here in Siebenbürgen were in a position to have an own education system for their people. But there was no Romanian gymnasium or university, no for the Slovaks, and no for the Serbs in the south. And this was one of the causes of the national hating in the late monarchy. You can see here green islands, because here lived and also already live Croats in the western Hungary and also in Niederösterreich and also in southern Moravia. Why are they here? Because of the Turkish wars. They came here from Croatia and Bosnia and fled here to the remaining Habsburgian territories and were settled here. And these language islands already are existing in Austria, in the Burgenland, and in Hungary, because the border today divides this territory. So you can see the language composition of the monarchy was very, very complicated, but it's very important. Then if you have ancestors here, perhaps in Brudersdorf, Stegersdorf, in today Burgenland in Austria, these were Croatic villages in Hungary with their own history and their own language traditions. And also today they speak Croatian there. Good. In the east, in Bukovina, the south and the east were inhabited by Romanians, and the north and the west by Ukrainians, Ruthenians. And the red points here are the German-speaking towns and villages. But there also were many Poles here, some Hungarians, and so on. Most of the German-speaking population in the Bukovina were Jews, because the ordinary language of the Jews, Yiddish, is a German dialect. And when you are speaking Yiddish, you can understand German and vice versa. And so all three languages were official languages here in this territory, and they were founded a university in Czernowitz, and also here all the three languages were used at this university. So the Austrian government tried to give rights to all of its population. Here, a detailed map of Western Hungary, as I told you already, and these are these black territories, the Croatian language islands. Here the situation in the south of Carinthia, south of Styria, the Krain, Görz and Gradiška, the Slovenic territories. Also a little part of Hungary was Slovenic territory, and today belongs to Slovenia. Here are several other maps. Here you can see a detailed language map of the south of Carinthia, year 1905. You see the blue territories are Slovenic communities, and the red are German communities. And you see it was very complicated because here in Verlach, perhaps, or Bleiburg, the towns, or Völkermarkt were German-speaking, but the agricultural villages were Slovenish-speaking. Good. A few pictures already I have for you, because also the confessions were very different in the old monarchy, and this is very important for the doing of genealogical work, because in the old Austrian monarchy there was no Standesamt, no civil registration, only the different religions had the books, the matrix, as they are called, and so we need this for our work. The blue territory is Roman Catholic, here Greek Catholic. The pink territories are Evangelic territories, especially in the east of Hungary, east of the Theiss. Here's the Theiss River, and around Debrecen, it was the center of the Reformatic Helvetian confession people here. In the south, these yellow territories, they were Greek Orthodox, and in Bosnia-Herzegovina also Islamic people. The points here and so on were the rates of the Jews who lived there. In Galicia and Bukovina, there were many Jews, more than 10% of the population. In the Western countries, in Bohemia and Moravia, also in west of Hungary. So you can see the different confessions. There were also other confessions as Armenic people, but they were not very much, and also Lithuanians and so on. But it will be too complicated. So here's the old territory of the Donaubistum Passau, but it will be too complicated. So what can I? Yes, to the education possibilities, I can show you a map of Moravia. So, moment. And you can see here the language areas in Moravia and Austrian Silesia. Yellow is Czech, red is German. This blue here is Polish in the east of Österreichisch Schlesien. And here you can see the details. Every of these circles is a school, and the color shows in which language the education was given. Yellow in Czech, red in German. You see also the language island of Olmütz, the town itself, and the villages in the surrounding had German schools. And the Czech-speaking territories, they all had Czech schools. There are also Gymnasiums and Realgymnasiums und Lehrerbildungsanstalt, also teachers' educations here given. I will show you. I suppose there will be the explanation. Yes, here. So you can see which education possibilities in which language had existed where. And you can see each language group has the chance to do their education in their language. In the larger towns, which are here, also were given education in both languages, especially Brünn, which had a large German majority. You see there also were many Czech schools, even in Znaim, which also was a German town, even in Iglau, and so on. On the other hand, in Prera, it was a Czechish-speaking town. Also, there were 5 elementary schools, Volksschulen in Deutsch. So every language group has the chance to get their education. Here is a map about the Alphabetisierung, also how many percent of the people were able to read and to write. And the darker territories are those of the highest education. So here it's a map from 1880, and these territories had over 80% of the population who can read and write. And if you go to the east and the south of the monarchy, there's a very different situation. Their territories where only 10 to 20% of the population were able to write and to read. So it was a very large difference between the education in the monarchy, which not belongs to the language groups and not belongs to the religious groups. It was a cultural phenomenon, but in each of these territories, the education grew higher, and to the First World War, the education was very different from this situation in 1880. So this was only a punctual situation you have seen. And here Another map. Here you can see which kind of writings were used in which territory. This is a map of Europe. It's the situation about 1900, and the blue territories used the German writing, known as Kurrent, when it's handwriting, or Gothic and Schwabacher if it's printed. The light red territories here used the Latin alphabet, as nowadays also in Austria and Germany. These were the Italian-speaking areas, the Hungarian-speaking, the Czech-speaking, and the Polish-speaking areas. In Romania, it was changed. Romania changed about 1872 from the Cyrillic alphabet to the Latin alphabet. But in the eastern Galicia and parts of the Bukovina, also in the south of Hungary, there was used the Cyrillic alphabet as it is today. And in Bosnia-Herzegovina, there also was used the Arabic alphabet because this territory belonged to the Ottoman Empire for about 400 years. So you see also the kind of the writing was very different in the old empire, and if you're searching in the east or south of the empire, it may be you find Cyrillic writings in your books you are interested in. Maybe. So this was very much. I hope you haven't understood my rusty English. I am not using it very often. If you have questions, please do them yet.
Ed, is there anybody at the library that has any questions? I was going to ask.
Did you say that German, in quotation marks, as we know, it was not called German when it was in print in 1900?
You're going to have to come closer to a microphone. We're having a hard time hearing you.
I'm sorry. Did you say that German, the language, when it was in print, was not referred to as German in 1900?
I'm sorry, I haven't understood. Please, again.
Yes, I'll sit down. Did you say that German, when it was in print, like in a newspaper, was not known as German or referred to as German?
Of course it was German, but it was the broken writing, not the today Latin letters. I can show you. Wait a moment. In Austria, the Austrian National Bibliothek in Vienna had.
But I thought it was referred to as something else.
One moment. There's nothing on the door. A moment, please.
Okay.
Yeah, is it? Hello?
It's actually referred to as Fraktur, and in the lecture he mentioned that it was called, I think he called it Gothic, if it's printed, and for written it's Kurrent.
Would you
for the
spell that
script.
for me?
That's it, yeah.
How do you spell it, please?
How do if it's script, it's called current and it's spelled capital Kurrent.
Oh, okay. Current?
And
Okay.
if it's printed, it's the Fraktur. And that's Fraktur.
So that's the font that it's in. It's in the language of German, but just
Oh.
in a different font.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
it's still German, but you have to recognize the letters.
Oh, okay. And may I ask another question, please?
Yeah, Günter's not here, but go ahead.
No, he's coming back.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the explanation here in Austria. It is raining till 2 days, and we have problem with the roof because of all the water. Here you can see the Austrian National Bibliothek in Vienna, and here you can find all the newspapers which are digitalized now. You can find printings in the German broken alphabet as here. I can show you. And this is the broken alphabet. The language is German, but it's not Latin letters, it's the German letters. Yes? But there were also newspapers in Latin letters, especially the newspapers of the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church used the Latin alphabet, so it was also able to read them in Roma, because they don't understand the German alphabet there. So you can find all of them here, hundreds of newspapers. I will, if you are interested, I can give you the link to the chat. Are you
Okay.
Are you interested?
Oh, yes, please.
Good. So as from Mrs. Chittester, did people usually speak more than one language? Of course, many people spoke more than one language because it was a multilingual imperium. But it was from country to country very different. In the East, perhaps in Bukovina, many of the people spoke all the three languages. In Vorarlberg, at the Bodensee, they only spoke German. So it was very, very different. In Bohemia, most of the people understand German, but the German population there mostly don't understand Czech, because Germany was the language for the better education, and so it dominated the country. But both languages were official languages there, and there were also schools and higher schools and universities for both of the language groups. Mrs. Chittester, was this what you'd want to know?
I have a question. Can you speak to the church records? What language were the church records recorded in?
This was not in every country different. The older records of the Roman Catholic Church mostly were in Latin language, and Latin writing. From the late 18th century, there also was they were mostly done in the common language there. So in the German-speaking areas, they were in German, they are in German, and in the Czech areas, they were in Czech, and in the Slovenic areas, they were in Slovenic. So it's not all the same. It's very complicated. And the evangelic records is quite different. There were evangelic German evangelic communities in Hungary. Their books are generally in German, but the Hungarian evangelic books, of course, are in Hungarian, and so on. It depends where and when.
I understand the northern parts of what we know now as Germany and the Prussian areas. They had compulsory education, I believe, in 1848. Was compulsory education ever established?
Please don't speak so quick. Please slowly, so I can understand.
I understand that in the northern Germany, as we know it now, or the Prussian areas of Germany, that compulsory education came about 1848. Did compulsory education occur in the Habsburg areas here?
It depends to the country. It was not in each territory the same.
Okay.
You can say it for the whole Habsburgian monarchy. It was very, very different. But of course, in the 19th century, the education grew up and got better and better everywhere. In the western parts of the Habsburgian countries, the education was as equal or even better than in northern Germany. But in the Hungarian territories and in the southern territories, Croatia, Krain, even Bosnia, it was even worse than in Germany. So there was a large difference in the monarchy.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to ask a third question. The border with the Ottoman Empire were contested areas. Through the 18th and 19th century, were there other borders that were volatile or where warfare was occurring?
Of course, the Habsburgians got in 1772 Galicia. In the time before, it belongs to Poland, Lithuania. In 1776 or 7, they got the Bukovina and so on, and also the lost territories. The main part of Silesia to the Prussians. They lost also the Habsburgian Netherlands. Borders always change through the history. And at the beginning today, I showed you a map about it. So nearly the half of the territories of Middle Europe belonged to the Habsburgian, but not at the same time.
Thank you.
The gained countries and the lost countries. So you can't. You can only. I can only answer to a certain year which territory belongs to Austria and which not. But it is impossible for the 400 years in the Neuzeit.
Thank you.
So, Mrs. Chitester, I have tried to answer your question. Have you heard? And was this your wanted to know?
I have one question also.
No answer. Good.
Wait a minute. She has to come up to the microphone.
Yeah,
I am. Okay, sorry.
I know that.
Hi, I'm not sure if this is an area that is of interest to you, but can you tell me if I've visited Germany a few times, 2 or 3 times, and unfortunately I'm not familiar enough with the language to notice accents as much as I wish I could. Although I do detect the accent between the German and the Austrian accent, but I can't detect the accent differences between Northern Germany, Southern Germany, Western Germany, Eastern Germany. Are there any significances as far as the accents as with the broken German, the German that people speak today, anything that lingers that is from, something detectable? Because, for example, in the United States, if you hear somebody in a movie who's trying to sound like from the Old West, he or she will have a certain accent that sounds like somebody from the 1800s or a pioneer, and you can hear a certain accent and a certain kind of speech pattern. Is there something that's detectable that lingers from the 1800s, from when we have all of these different areas of the empire? Anything that is notable that we can listen for when we travel there?
Of course, the dialects were very different in the old monarchy, of course. In the German-speaking areas of the nowadays Austria, the Bavarian dialect is common. There are more people in Austria speaking Bavarian dialects than in Bavaria. In Vorarlberg, this is an Alemannic speaking area, which is similar to Baden-Württemberg and the German Swiss. But in the old monarchy, in the western and northern territories of Bohemia and Moravia and in Austrian Silesia, the people speak Middle German dialects as Sächsisch or Silesian dialects. So also already the German-speaking areas in the old monarchy had very different German dialects, especially the dialect of the Siebenbürger Sachsen in Transylvania, Siebenbürgen, which came from the Middle Age in the surroundings of Colonia and the Pfalz, the Kurpfalz. They came from this territory, and they're called Siebenbürger Sachsen, but they don't speak Sächsisch. They speak a dialect from this area at the Rhine. Yes, so and so on. It was with every language in the old monarchy, especially in the Ruthenian areas. The languages of the tribes of Boyken, Huzulen, and so on had very specific languages, and also have them today. Yes, these are mountain tribes, you can say, and they have not very common to the Ruthenian, Ukrainian language in the area of the Weichsel. I don't know the name of Weichsel in English, the river in the north. So it was very, very different, even in the Italian territories, because of the several countries there. And in every country was a different language, as official language. So the Venetians used the Venetian dialect as writing, for writing, and in the Herzogtum Mailand, Duchy of Milano, they used the Milanian dialect for writing. So even there were very different languages, and there are many Wissenschaftler, scientifics today, which say that this Landvenezian genannte Sprache, also the language of the Venetian territories, isn't Italian, it's an own language. Yes. There's a great dispute in Italy about these languages. Also, the Lombardian language was called not to be Italian, but to be a separate language. There's a great quarrel about in Italy nowadays.
Right.
And so in nearly every language group in the old Habsburg monarchy divided into several dialectic zones. Even the five valleys of the Ladina in the Dolomites in South Tyrol use very different languages. Yes, but today they have arranged a common language also, so it is possible to edit a newspaper and to print books, because for perhaps 2,000 people it is not possible to do printings. So of course what I have shown you about the language groups is only the principle, the basics. But there were, of course, many dialects, and of course we can here in Europe can say, if you're speaking Bavarian or you're speaking Alemannic or you're speaking Frankic or Sächsisch, it's very different for us. And in my childhood in Vienna, there were also dialects for nearly every district in Vienna. We could say he comes from Meidling, and he comes from Favoriten, and he comes from Döbling. Today it's not so clear already, but 50 years ago it was possible, because the influence of the dialects was very mighty. Today, with the electronic mediums, it got all the same. Yeah?
Right.
Can I make a comment then?
Oh, yes.
Gut, Angelika, ich hoffe, du verstehst mich, hast du gesehen.
Just a
Yeah.
comment, and perhaps you could add to it. But I understand that after the fall of the curtain, the German immigrants who had gone to the Ukraine under Catherine the Great's programs in Russia, they spoke a German that really hadn't changed, and they had much difficulty when they were repatriated to Germany.
Yeah, of course.
People could not understand them.
Of course, yes. Yeah. They use it. Catherine of Russia never had a Habsburgian territory, of course, but it was the same with the German-speaking language islands in the Carpathen, in the Carpaths, in the mountains. The remaining people there, some villages remained there. The population of some villages, they speak a very old kind of German, of course, and the linguistic experts are very very pleased of this, because they were not influenced from the Western German language, of course.
And is there a notable, or was there a notable difference in the accent between the Eastern and West, between the German accents in 90 what was that, 90 or 89 when the wall came down? Was there a notable difference because of the absence of Western influence in television? As
Of
far as
course.
very much so.
A large difference, of course. We, the older people here in Austria, already understand them. But my, well, meine Nichten, was heißt das auf Englisch? Was ist das? The daughters of my brother, they don't understand these old languages because they were grown up with RTL and Pro7, the German television programs, and they they aren't speaking Viennese, and they don't understand the old dialects. We, the older people, we already understand them.
Mhm.
But you meant between Eastern and Western Germany, really?
Right, right. In other words,
Yeah.
when the wall came down in,
Yeah.
I think it was 89,
There is a big difference, yeah, because they were more influenced by Russian and also by the culture, and Western Germany went on also with American culture or with French and with the Western cultures, and the difference is yes, you can hear it in both languages, yeah.
and I would imagine also with the number of American bases in West Germany, what was West Germany at that time. It seems that it would have tainted the German accent. Unfortunately, it would have tainted the German accent by influencing it too much with English.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's that's unfortunate.
Western Germany got a large influence from the USA. The people don't realize this there, but it is so. In Austria, the Besatzungstruppen, the Allied troops, went away in 1955. So this influence wasn't so mighty. But in Western Germany, it is very mighty. And so there's a large difference between the former countries of the DDR, the German Democratic Republic, and the Western Germany countries, of course.
Yeah, that's sad. Yeah.
So we have another question. Amy, do you want to unmute and state your question, or do you want me to read it from chat? Okay, I'm not seeing her unmute. She had a question. We wanted to thank you for answering her earlier question. And it says that I've been researching in the area of Southwest Bohemia near the German border, starting in the 1800s and moving back in time. All the records, all the records are in German until 1650. Then everything back to the earliest record in 1590 are in Czech. Why would the language change in the church books?
This depends to the writer of this church books. If it was a German-speaking person, he used German, and if he was a Czech-speaking person, he used Czech. There are parishes where the church books changed their language even each 10 years. German, Latin, Czech, and so on. So it depends to the person who writes this church book. The priest or the schoolmaster, we don't know who writes this book mostly, but it was not a sign of the common language there. It is only a sign of the language of the person who writes this book.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have a question? Anybody? Okay, I think we got most of the questions. I want to thank you so much for all the wonderful information. It was really enjoyable. Thank you so much.
Es freut mich. I'm happy to hear this. So I can give you the advice. If you are researching in the Habsburg Empire, always have a look at which territory was this at this time, and which system, which language, which religion was there at this time. Because also the religion changed in some countries of the Habsburg Empire. In the 16th century, nearly all the Czech lands and also nearly all the Alpine countries were evangelic. But then there was the Rekatholisierung, the coming back of the Catholics, and then nearly all were Catholics. So it's very important to know when I am researching and where. And then you have the chance to find very much about the ancestors, because the archives in Middle Europe, in Austria, in Czechia, in Hungary, in Poland, they are full with old books and writings. So you can find very, very much about your ancestors. Not only the church books are interested, of course they're interesting, but not only. There are the books about the houses and areas. There are the books about the Justiz, about the church. Wie heißt das? Hilf mal, Angelika, das Gerichtswesen, was heißt das?
The court records.
The court records and so on. There are many, many sources you can use at Family Search. Many of them are also online now, but in the archives there are 100 times more. So come to Europe, go to the archives and look at the books, and you will find very much about your ancestors back to about 1550, about. Not in every territory, if there were wars, or it's complicated, but in the western territories of the Habsburg Empire, you can come back to the 16th century. In the eastern, where the Turks were, it is not so far back, because many of the archives were destroyed.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's very interesting. That's very helpful information too, because I know a lot of people just like look at the church records and say, that's it.
Church records are only the beginning. The interesting part comes after this. If you know from the church records the names, yes, and the years they lived, and the villages they lived, then you can start the researching, because then you can use the other sources. And there are enormous lots of sources, tons of sources. There are archives, regional archives in Czechia and Austria, which have more than 20 kilometers of sources in the archives. In German it is called Regalkilometer. Ich weiß jetzt nicht, wie das in Englisch heißt. Schwierig. But there's tons of materials, and you can find very much details about your ancestors. Of course, if they were rich, you will find more, and if the ancestors were poor, you will find not so many. But you can also find about them, even if they were only servants. Also from them you can find details about their life. And the archive, of course, are there to do the researching. They're waiting for you.
They're
Yeah,
waiting for it. Okay.
That
Okay.
that one term that you were trying to say, Günter, in English would be lineal feet of resources available. There's thousands and thousands of lineal feet available.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody, and really thank you, Günter, for bearing with me with the time zone change. You changed times, and we didn't change yet, and I'm so sorry about that. Okay, I don't think there's any more questions. Again, appreciate everybody coming, and hope to see you next time. Okay.
This has been a production of the Dallas Genealogical Society. If you're already a member, thank you. Your fees have been supporting these and other society activities. If you're not yet a member, please consider joining now. Go to dallasgenealogy.org and click on the membership tab.